probably advisors. Let's cover that at the right point. So,
Okay.
thanks, Alex. Ryan was asking what's going to happen with the Intersect Committee's budgets in terms of on-chain voting. My understanding is that they'll be merged with the vendor proposals, and then the voting would happen roughly in the June timeframe.
Huh.
But they're probably going, but possibly Intersect puts its own proposals out first, so we need to know that. I was assuming they were going to go through the Ecclesia process, but that's not necessarily the case, of course.
I heard the same.
How are you doing, Alex?
Being notified that my Windows 10 PC is not supported anymore.
Yeah, you could pay for extra support, but that might have finished.
Hell no.
Well, you're a cheapskate.
Yeah, Windows has not been doing it lately.
Nope. First of all, it's a shit operating system, and secondly, I want to pay for it. I'd much rather migrate to Linux.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Steam works.
Yeah. There's supposed to be a Steam machine, is that right? But they.
Yep.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it was delayed because of the RAM shortage.
Oh yeah.
Even Raspberry Pis are going up in price.
Mm-hmm. Now storage, now SSDs and the like are going up in value.
Sebastian, for context, how we got here, I just booted my computer, my desktop PC.
What is it saying? Can't read.
That I need to update my Windows 10.
Ironically, I'm actually in the same boat with my work PC. The SSD died on it. It just stopped booting. I couldn't even get into BIOS unless I physically remove the SSD. And so I have to wait to get a new one shipped to me. I can't do anything for work until it gets here. So.
Yeah, don't let these things slip, right? I just canceled my internet contract because of they had a weird app which you use to configure your router from the app, and they sent the configuration via remote, right? And this one was not compatible with my smartphone anymore. So although it's quite recent, it's okay. But I said, oh yeah, I'll find another one.
Yeah.
Provider. So here it is, switch out Microsoft.
So I tried to paste the agenda into the chat as usual, but I can't pin it. So I don't know whether you're seeing it.
Nope, I don't.
I can see it.
I joined too late.
Joined too late. I can paste it again.
I have pinned it. No.
You pinned it.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So now you should be able to see it.
Just give me a second to pick up the coffee.
I can paste it again. I think this is it happened to be in another meeting, so I think this is a change by Google. Let's do it again. So were there any items that anyone else would like to add to the agenda? Neil, you may not. I've just pasted the agenda again, but pinning doesn't seem to be working. So you may not be able to see it.
I read the agenda. If it's the same agenda that was in Slack, then I've already read it. Thank you.
Okay. Bosco, given when the elections are happening, do we want to deal with that item first in the agenda?
Yeah, we can. So
We'll change the order.
Okay, sure.
Okay, great. So let's start the meeting. So welcome to the Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 15th of April 2026. We have, by my count, 6 voting members present. so the TSC is quorate if we need to take any decisions. So thank you for joining the meeting. Agenda for today, pasted in the chat and also available on the Slack. If you have any items to add or any to prioritize, please inform me now. But otherwise, we'll just kick off with the actions from the last meeting. Bosco.
Okay. I can share my screen if it's needed, maybe. It's just easier. Because it's document. Sorry. The first one on you and Neil to finalize the professional technical review outline and process document within the next week. So was it reasonable deadline?
Not a reasonable deadline. We're delinquent, I'm afraid, because lots of busy things. I accept that we have to do it sometime, but in the next month.
Said the same.
I don't know what. Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll hold that and the next item as well.
I don't know what to say. I feel ashamed with the doodle poll. But I suppose we will find time eventually. Ryan.
I mean, I can say something about that. Exactly,
yes, sure.
In 2 weeks, we'll have the next monthly, which you can just come in and we have. I mean, I'll try to kind of keep room for questions. If you want, you can participate there right away.
What's the timing for that, Sebastian? Does it now overlap with this again?
Yeah, as always, 14 UTC, and I think by now it overlaps again with this meeting. Yes.
So that's unfortunate. We've tried our best to avoid the overlap, but we still end up with the overlap.
Can we do a temporary change of the TSC meeting?
We could consider it, Bosco. We need to determine whether there are urgent items of business.
Okay.
We need to meet. So what I propose is let's provisionally agree to join the Linear Laos meeting in 2 weeks' time to cancel the TSC meeting for that week. And then if we need a TSC meeting in addition, we can either overbook it or we can try to find another date.
Let's be in sync on that. Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks, Gary.
And let me know if you want to join. There's a Google Meet and a YouTube recording, right? And if you want to join the Meet one, just ping me. I'll get you on the waiting list. No, on the what's it called? Like in front of the club, right, where you get admitted.
Okay.
You put us on the VIP list, Sebastian.
Correct, exactly that one. I have a bottle of champagne.
Okay, Ryan Wiley, to sync with Ryan Williams to finalize maximal list of workable SIPs, not S. SIPs for the community. Sorry. Okay, it's a link. So, do you want to share anything on that, or it's going to be covered later in the call, Kevin?
I can give a quick summary of it. So I shared the link, or I guess Kevin wants to cover it later. That's fine too.
Yeah,
okay.
I put a slot to cover it, Ryan. So let's cover it later.
Sounds
Okay.
good. We'll do that then.
Okay. Leandros delivered the finalized 2030 KPI document to the project committee following 2 days, and that was last week. So what has happened in the meantime, basically?
Nothing much. We are still talking with TSC. They want to get some clarifications before they make a decision on what they will adopt, and they will probably ask us to write the pull commit, the pull in order to make the changes. But we're just waiting on them, basically.
Yeah, so we attended the product committee meeting last week and this week, Bosco. So we attended both those meetings. There's a dedicated session immediately after this one when we'll meet up again with the product committee just to go through the final list of KPIs. So I think we've essentially completed the work that's required for that item, or we will have done by the end of today.
I was going to say, like, does this work ever end? Like, it literally means, like, looks like every single week back and forth. Nothing bad. It just like prolongs indefinitely.
That's just the way the process works if you have multiple committees. And
I agree. Neil? I thought Neil wanted to say something. Mute.
No, Neil was just shaking his head because it will never end. That's all, right? And basically, what the best you can do with these things is to have liaisons. There is a way of doing this, which international organizations do, right? And what you do is you send liaisons to each other and get liaisons back, right? And that then sort of decouples you a bit more. But there were ways of reducing the. But the first time round, you've got to agree the list, right? And you've got to get a common understanding. So it takes time.
Okay. Kevin finally has submitted the 2026 TST budget proposal by Monday. That was this Monday. So I suppose that was done. Plus we adjusted the right.
Yeah, so we'll discuss that. We'll discuss the state of the TST proposal later. We may need some information from Intersect as to how we proceed from this point. Bosco, I assume your text has that information.
Yeah. Sorry. And investigate technical requirements for an RSS. So essentially what I told last week is that we are looking into making those Discord channels, designated Discord channels, read-only and in a way that anybody, even the people who are not Intersect members, could see it without joining, and basically without joining Intersect could see it. And I'm pushing for it. I have some blocks, but I will resolve them. So that's the current situation. I'm hoping to have it in a matter of days. So once that is done, I'm going to first do it for the hard fork working group, and then we should probably create a parameter updates Discord channel if there is no channel where you could put these updates in, if that works.
Yes, what you're proposing in effect is to create something which is a notification channel, Bosco.
Yes.
So which is separate from the discussion channel. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So it's not exactly an RSS feed, but it's something that could be read.
Potentially then later digested or exposed through an RSS. So if there is no need to be I'm investigating, but step by step. So the first thing should be to make it open. Okay, that's my take, and I'm going to share the screen with the agenda. Okay, this is it.
So I was going to propose that we prioritize the elections given the deadline. So do you want to just give us an update on the election process?
Yes, so it's 5 open TSC positions. I think currently there are 4 people that have applied. Some of those 4 people are here on this call. Some people on this call publicly declared that they don't want to, and that's absolutely fine, of course. So by some information that I have, we could expect 6 candidates to have for 5 open positions. And there is 1 more day for an application. In order to apply again, in a nutshell, in order to apply for a candidate, you need to log into the members area of Intersect's website, and then you will find on the dashboard, you will find the button to apply as a candidate, and to go to the elections page, and basically you can then choose whichever committee you want to apply for. And it's should be relatively easy. So 4 so far, expected 2 more. If you have anybody else that you can invite for this good collaboration, that's it. And I think if the application process closes tomorrow, okay, when does the voting? I'm not sure on the dates. Tex, do you remember the voting dates? If you're here. Let me give you a text here, not here.
It's listed in the member area. I believe this is what is shown.
Mm-hmm.
And the application period is just next to that, which would be until 2 days or 1 day and a few hours.
Yeah, that's when it closes the application, but the voting is, when does it begin? I'm not sure. So
Next Monday.
Next Monday, then yeah, okay, and then 2 weeks or something, or 10 days. I'm not sure.
So
Okay, but the focus is on application right now. Yeah.
Exactly. So please, if you're aware of anyone who could be a good member of this committee who's not considering applying, please encourage them to apply. If they have already applied, please give them any information they need to help them with that. And I'm open to talking to anyone who might be interested in joining the TSC. So please come and chat to me. I can't guarantee infinite time, but I'm very happy to talk to people about the jobs and the duties and responsibilities of the TSC. And the information from Intersect is that technical coordination is going to be increasingly important as we roll forward into the next year or two. Your roles will be very much appreciated, and your efforts will be very much appreciated.
Correct. Okay, I suppose we can move on to the next one.
Yes.
TSC budget.
So TSC budget proposal, no real change from the proposal which we discussed, which we circulated last week. From my perspective, this is effectively done, Bosco, unless you know that we've got some things that we need to adjust. I was hearing from the product committee that Intersect will put forward each of these as a separate action, but I'm not completely sure what the process is, whether we're going to be going via the Ecclesia process as happened last year, or are these going to be submitted independently of the budget proposals that Intersect?
The process is explained, but I will give you the detailed article on it. So yes, it goes through Ecclesia, but I need to have it. I mean, you can find it in the governance section. Anyway, let me just find the one quickly on the budget process. This is where it's being explained. I'm putting it in the chat.
So the point is the Intersect committee proposals are also going through the Ecclesia process. So they'll go through essentially the same process as last.
Yeah, but the way it's going to be submitted after that to change based on the votes, it's different. I think based on what I remember, they will be batched somehow. I don't remember the criteria, but they will be batched.
But it's the same process for the committee proposals as for vendor proposals.
Yeah, I don't see any difference in it.
Okay, great. So we'll obviously need to be involved in that to discuss any issues that GRAPS or others raise, are involved in any discussion meetings that happen over the next few weeks, Bosco.
I would say, yeah, plus I would encourage even people who are not going to apply for the TSC roles this time to also help if they can, given the time that they have. Nothing else.
And the process itself is it's going to take place over a period of about 2 to 3 months, Bosco, as I understand it. So the goal is sometime in June of.
Basically, yeah-ish. I'm always thinking about the gaps between the different stages of the process. So yes, the voting will end at some designated time. Then preparing the governance sections and everything, it can take some time. So yeah, I would say you're right, but I'm always cautious about the exact timing.
It's just to have a rough idea of the timescales, possibly. Having no idea of the timescales.
Being cautiously pessimistic, yeah, I would say it's
okay. Intersect has trained you to be pessimistic and cautious.
This is just my personal opinion. So I'm not. Whatever I said like a minute ago was not like it was my stance on it. So I'm just saying honestly how it's going, but it can be faster, of course. It really depends on whatever the bumps we are all going to face. I don't know.
Okay, great. Should we move on?
Van Rossum.
Questions. So things progressing well as well as we can expect on the budget proposal. No obstacles that we're seeing, and we'll just need to enter into the discussion with the GRAPs, etc., on the budget items. So state of play on Van Rossum. Who would like to take this item?
I can say whatever is written on the screen. I can add some more juice to it. Or Ryan, Wiley, were you on the call yesterday? I mean, it doesn't matter. Whoever.
I was lurking in the chat, but I was at multiple meetings at once, so
okay.
I also can't really speak to it too much.
Kevin wrote a lot here, so it's relatively easy. I'm not following the most recent conversation in the node release channel, so there might be something new, Kevin, there in the last half an hour. I know that there is a discussion going. Seems that 10.7.1 as a pre-release is imminent. It's really close. Initial benchmarks are like initial sentiment is fine. I think Alexei also shared that his impressions, everything feels good, but until it's done, it's not proven. So what can happen, as Kevin pointed out here, 10.7.1 pre-release, then in a few days, it becomes a full release that probably then could be promoted to protocol version 11. Then after that, what happens usually is this thing being previews being forced, right, and we enter the process. So what else? Overall timeline remains unchanged. We have went through the risk register log and adjusted some aspects yesterday, some items yesterday on the call, and there is a good need to increase the engagement with all the stakeholder groups. So we have at least initially delegated the responsibility for engagement to several different parties. So for wallets, it's Ryan Williams as usual. For exchanges, it's Michelle and Cardano Foundation. So Leonard took responsibility for the apps, etc., etc. So that's something that is going to start happening more in the next few days and weeks. So beyond that, I don't know, Kevin, do you want to add Plutus cost model maybe to put it on the table maybe for a better understanding or not? It really depends. It's kind of tied to it. But.
So I was just working through the risk register. So one of the risks that Neil correctly identified, the Parameter Committee identified, was to do with these changes to the Plutus cost model that could impact dApp developers, possibly technically also the guardrail script or other governance scripts. So we need to just confirm that there are no unexpected consequences of making these changes. The worst case situation would be we made a change, we locked out the guardrail script. I think it's incredibly unlikely, but it's a possible risk that we could do that. If we did that, no further governance actions could be submitted. Okay, so we'd be.
Are you referring to the hard fork or Plutus cost model?
I'm referring to the Plutus cost model, but its impact on the hard fork, Bosco. So
okay.
The worst case scenario is this could prevent any governance action.
I understand. So can I ask my question out of my ignorance. How do we prevent that from happening? Because if it's a risk, it can happen. How would we reduce or eliminate that risk?
We try it on preview.
Okay.
So once the cost model is enacted on preview, all we have to do is put in a governance action that exercises the guardrail script. Once we've done that, then we can confirm that the new cost model won't block the guardrail script on mainnet. So that's a major risk that we've eliminated.
Who is doing that test then on preview? Is there
Well,
any party or assumed party?
I will raise it with Ryan and Mike Horn, one of them will do that.
Ryan, if you're speaking about Ryan Williams, he might be off for a day or two. I don't know. So you can raise it with Mike. But if you are not able to get in contact with any of them, let me know. I will make it happen.
Yeah, as I said, it's a risk we have to close off.
Okay.
It's not something which I anticipate being a major risk, but we do have a way to check for it. The other risk that Neil was mentioning about locking out dApps, that's less certain. We've been trying to address the risk, Neil, by informing dApp developers. We've raised it on the risk register. We've raised the issue of communication at the hard fork working group. We will do our utmost to make sure that the risk is mitigated as much as possible. We can't completely eliminate it, I think.
That's the nature of risks.
Okay. Can I suggest you get in touch with Leonard, as Leonard Hegarty took responsibility for engagement with dApps and everything. So might be a good channel to pass that info and elevate it.
I can take an action to do that.
Okay. Okay. One more question. I don't know whether it's on the agenda. I don't remember. So it's not.
The other risk that was discussed yesterday, which is essentially a new risk, is to do with the committee min size. So
yes,
the committee min size remains at 7, and the committee itself has 7 members. There's always a risk that one could retire and completely stop the process. What the proposal will be is to chain CC min size onto the Plutus cost model. So rather than waiting for the cost model to be enacted, to immediately put forward a CC min size reduction optimistically that depends on the Plutus cost model update. So that seems to be the way to do this reduction in as timely a fashion as possible. And there's still the possibility that if some action is announced, if a CC member announces their intention to retire, for example, we might still need to reverse the order of the parameter changes. So we will need to monitor that situation.
I'm just looking at that tentative timeline. I don't see, or I'm blind. I don't see Plutus cost model. I see. When it is planned to be submitted on mainnet.
Let me discuss the situation with Ryan Williams when he gets back.
Mm-hmm. You may have a chance to discuss some of these today because he's still working today. He might be off tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah, let me see if I get enough time.
Okay. Okay. And sorry, guys. It seems that I'm also a TSC member, but I'm not. So I'm just asking questions. So when do we expect to have Plutus cost model on preview enacted? What's reasonable to expect?
Either today or tomorrow.
Okay. So it's this week, so to say. Okay.
I haven't had time to check today whether it's been enacted, whether it's been ratified or not.
Mm-hmm.
But we control, well, the team controls the voting on previews. There's no reason why it should be delayed beyond the minimum necessary. Again, if we have the chance to check with Ryan Williams, that would be good.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone...
No further questions.
Does anyone not Bosco have any questions about the hard fork? No. So things are progressing well there. It looks like we're reaching a point where everything is aligning. The risks are gradually being burnt down. We're updating the risks table. We're aware of the risks. Some of them could rise in importance again, but at this point in time, they're being managed, and the major risks to do with the implementation have been largely eliminated or mitigated. So we're generally comfortable with the situation we're in. So thank you to the developer team for dealing with that. We know they've been working very hard to help eliminate the risks, the technical risks. Now we just have the social risk.
Risk needles ways to another direction.
That's all it ever becomes, guys. Is risk mitigation management. Welcome to the long-term real world. I'm sorry.
That's why it's fun. Okay, 2030 KPI review. I mean, Kevin, your call.
So we covered this, Leandros. I think we're just going to have the call with the product committee after this one. So if anyone else wants to join that call, they're very welcome. We can share the details. Just raise your hand now and we'll know to pass on the meeting invitation. Sounds as if nobody else is excited by this. Brilliant. Dijkstra Hard Forkscape, right, Ryan, I know you've been doing quite a bit of work in the background on this.
Yes, I put together a draft document. I just linked in the chat. Basically, what it is it's designed to be an info action that links to a SIP 179 survey. But if that ends up being a blocker, we could just as easily forklift it over to Ecclesia. So that shouldn't be an issue. The ask is to pass it around to basically any stakeholders. And I tried to post the questions in the chat, but it's gray, so maybe it didn't post again. But basically, the questions to ask yourself when you're looking at this list is, are we missing any that could be included in Dijkstra? Each of the ones listed, is that actually something that we can do? Do each of these that are listed actually require a hard fork? Because there's not all SIPs require a hard fork. So if there's any that don't need it, we don't need to be considered here. And then what threshold do we want to set for which ones are included and which ones aren't? So in theory, hypothetically, we could just do every single SIP for Dijkstra and then it ends up delaying Dijkstra by like a year or two. Or we could say we want Dijkstra much sooner and just pick the most important ones. So at some point we need to decide what the threshold is and then how to communicate that. Question, Alex?
I wondered that since a while. Why aren't we defining SIPs for hard forks?
Why aren't we?
Yes.
I'm not sure what you mean.
The Van Rossum hard fork was also documented what is in it and what goes out of it in a Google Sheet like this. But most of the things that would go into a hard fork to change it are SIPs already. I think having a hard fork SIP that includes all the SIPs that are in the hard fork might actually make a lot of sense organizationally. That doesn't answer your question at all that you asked recently, but it was just one question that I had already on the Van Rossum one.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I think this is like a prerequisite to that, because this is just trying to get the community's prioritization on some of these, because some of these the community might want really badly and some of them might not want as much. So we're just trying to get the community's input on which SIPs do we really want. For example, Laos is probably one of those that people are really going to push for. Some other ones like nested transactions have people that feel very strongly on both sides of the fence. There's some incentive ones in there that maybe people want or maybe don't want. So it's basically a matter of prioritizing it to see that what we can include into the SIP. And then if we want to put together I guess a meta SIP that contains all the SIPs of what can go into Dijkstra at that point, then we could do that. I'm not sure if that's the best approach, but that's one option.
I just think the discussion on within the SIP process is more public than on this Google Sheet.
Right. So my understanding is that all of these SIPs listed here have already been through the SIP process. They're technically feasible.
Yes, but about the meta SIP which goes in the hard fork.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but Kevin's asking if we could pass this list on to the product committee. We could definitely do that. Actually, if any of you know any other stakeholders, feel free to pass this around and get their input as well. You have something more to say, Kevin?
Yeah, so Ryan, I wouldn't overstate the SIP process. Essentially, the SIP process is stating that the SIPs are well constructed, not necessarily they are technically feasible. So
Gotcha.
you couldn't put too much emphasis onto the SIPs. There's a temptation to do that, but it's a process to determine whether there are any obvious issues and that the proposal, the improvement, is well structured, rather than that it is technically sound or sensible or even feasible.
Yeah, there's multiple layers of stuff to go through here. There's like, it's been constructed well via the SIP process, it's been supported by the community, it's been prioritized by the community, and it's doable by the implementers. So we have to like work our way up the chain with each of those SIPs.
Correct. Yes. Yes. And the temptation is to think, well, it's a SIP, so it's passed all of the criteria. I'm sure the SIP editors would tell us, no, don't be so optimistic. There are potentially issues still with SIPs. They do a good job in reviewing the proposals. We're conscious of this from both sides, that I wouldn't want to underplay the role of the SIP editors, but nonetheless, there can still be issues that they won't identify that may not be present in the SIP.
Right. Yeah, all of the ones here, they passed just that first bar. So go ahead.
So I think the ask here from Ryan is for us all to look at the list of SIPs, and to. So did you go through all of the SIPs that have been ever considered, Ryan, or did you simply?
There was a Kanban board I saw, and a I guess issue on the Cardano Ledger Intersect GitHub that I kind of pulled them from, that was tagged for Dijkstra era. And I've also kind of passed it around and asked people. I'm not sure if I can just go through all of the Cardano Foundation pull requests and just assume that all of them are doable for Dijkstra, because that would be quite a lot of SIPs. So that's why I'm asking it to be passed around and see if any important ones are missing. I'm not sure if there's a better method than that.
Yeah. So the only better method, I think, would be to do a completely exhaustive check of all the SIPs that have been proposed, and to determine whether these require hard forks. That would be the way to do prioritization. That would be the way to do a systematic prioritization. But it's quite a big job to do that. Appreciate that's quite a big job. Otherwise, I think getting builder input. So asking builders, are there things missing from the SIP list, so that nobody thinks, hey, you're ignoring my SIP. That's probably the way to do this, is socialization of the list. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then if a builder says, oh, you've missed out SIP, whatever it is, SIP X, include that on the list, don't take any judgment call on it. The criteria are: has the SIP been proposed, / accepted, and does it require a hard fork?
Yep.
There's no question of any quality control on the SIP, of course.
Yep, exactly. And then, like, assuming all of that's been done, the final question we want to ask ourselves is what threshold do we want to set for which ones can be included and which don't want to be included? And basically, this can be boiled down to how long are we willing to delay the Dijkstra hard fork to get more features?
I think initially, if you're collecting the initial set, Ryan, a simple majority is sufficient.
Right.
Okay.
I guess my question is, if all of these SIPs listed have a majority, like everybody wants all of them, are we gonna delay the Dijkstra until we can just do all of them in one shot, or do we want to select the top 5, top 10, or weight them somehow?
I would suggest, if it doesn't look feasible, we engage in a triage. We don't say how we do triage. We just engage. Somehow triage is done, right? And that's going to be, you know, it's like, have you ever taken part in a balloon debate?
Yes,
Balloon debate is schools do this. You basically argue, and the idea is you argue, and then you work out in each round who's going to get thrown out of the balloon. Well, as the balloon slowly sinks, you don't all die. So you're going to have to do that. I don't see any other way of doing it, because you're going to have to work out which ones you can't do, or which ones are, you know, what's the trading space you've got to play with. Okay, but I mean, the voting won't work here, is what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, the voting is for prioritization. It's not necessarily for what will be in Dijkstra.
Right, I'm just saying, but I think people need to understand that it doesn't matter. You know, you may want to have the moon made from cheese, but actually, guys, that won't work. Okay.
Yeah, and it's information that can then guide vendors in setting up their own proposals, right? So it's entirely possible that some very popular SIP has no champion to implement it, in which case it won't be implemented despite being extremely popular.
Yep,
that's possible. But alternatively, the fact that something is popular and has no implementer might attract someone to.
Yeah, I did put a paragraph or two blurb explaining that, trying to explain that each of these SIPs will still need implementation even if it's been prioritized, which comes with all sorts of different caveats.
And then you had there was an issue about some SIPs the incentive SIPs that you have.
Yes. So the way this is, so we have an incentives ballot that's been basically at the 99th percentile, ready to go since probably December, and that's potentially launching in the next 2 weeks. And it's looking like it might be on chain at the same-ish time that this happens, or overlap or near to, which could potentially be confusing because some of the same SIPs will appear on both. So I guess we're brainstorming earlier, and I guess the best way to communicate like why people would be voting on the same SIPs in two different ballots is if you have one of them, the incentives ballot, be framed as, do you support these SIPs? And then the Dijkstra era shortlist is, how do we or which SIPs do we prioritize? And that way it's slightly less confusing about why we're voting on the same SIPs in two different places. There's a couple other trade-offs if we were to try to combine the ballots, but that would be potentially doing a bunch more work and delaying votes further. Yeah, there's some other trade-offs as well, but I think this is the most feasible one that we're able to land on.
So presumably if items don't get picked up, don't get implemented for Dijkstra, at the end of the day, they're going to be held on to the subsequent eras, right?
That is presumption, yes. Question from Sebastian?
Yeah, I said it last time already. So getting some signal on the priority is one thing, right? This makes this thing a wish list, a prioritized wish list. And how do we get this into a short list, right? And then we must basically interview the supplier side of things, right? The champions, Kevin says, right, if nobody cares about implementing it, it will not happen. And then also like what is feasible and in which likelihood, which risks. So we need to get people involved on that end too. And this will not be through a vote, right?
So yeah. I would ask, when you say this is sounding like something we got shot down and our wrists slapped about. So if we're going to interview these vendors, who's going to be that interviewing panel? Because it's basically, you know, there's going to be issues of commercial feasibility, technical feasibility, things like that. And maybe if that's the route we're going to take, we need to form some form of subcommittees, some joint subcommittees, so that we don't end up with the massive fight that we had last time. This needs to be done on a intersect wide basis, not just by the TSC, I would suggest. Right? It really is a great way to get people to hate you, guys. Right?
I was, for example, not implying that we should have somebody commit to these things, but just ask, hey, Alexi, what do you believe should be in the next, what do you think? And then ask Matthias on the Marvel, what do you believe is a good hard fork? And some other like, and then we take this like 30, 40, there's not more people than that, just ask everyone for their input somehow. And if somebody has really big pains on what is in the list right now, and we need to go from a very early gut feeling into something which is actually workable with contracts, but this is only later, right? We're not there yet, I believe.
We need to funnel.
Yeah.
Marcus?
Unclear if I'm not only a listener or if I can say something here on this, but as I had a discussion in the foundation with some colleagues recently, and there was then something like, yeah, but who is then building this list, or who is proposing, and so on. My opinion on this is a committee, a technical steering committee, or as Neil said, a joint committee or what else, should come up with a set of proposals. The proposal itself should make sense in itself. So like, if we are going to implement some technology, it only makes sense if combined with something else. And then this proposal is brought up to a vote with some other proposals that make also sense in itself. And this is then what is brought to a vote to the DREPs. But in my opinion, this chaotic, everyone proposes everything and then DREPs vote something out of it is completely nonsense. And the midway of it is that some expert groups propose different sets of a thing that makes sense in itself. And then the things are voted on. This could also be the next hard fork. So the scope and the things that are included in the next hard fork. This is just my opinion.
Thanks, Marcus. So definitely an issue that has to be resolved. There was a proposal by Justin on the product committee just before this, which was talking about DAO structure. So using the build DAO structure for treasury proposals. So that's one way that things could be built up. But I think we're a long way from having a structure like that as well, and that's potentially too heavyweight for this. It's potentially even more layers of discussion to be sorted out. So I think where we need to go from here on, saying if we share this with those who might be interested in building, so to confirm that things they're interested in progressing are included in the list, we're not being exclusionary. We share this with the product committee so that if there's something important that they would like to promote, they make sure that's on the list. And then we progress this as was being proposed in some joint way. So what we're doing here is to set up the polling for the prioritization, for the wish list. So that's all we're doing at this point in time. And then we need to figure out, as Sebastian and others are saying, how you progress this to actual work items. Yeah. I would go for the prioritization before the implementer available and capable, because as I was saying, Ryan, the fact that the community wants something might be enough to persuade someone to implement it or propose implementing it. Similarly, if the community doesn't want something, you might then be demotivated to actually propose implementing it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, actually, on an additional note, actually, most of these were already voted on as part of last year's budget process. Like Laos was voted on, incentives changes were voted on. I think Paris was voted on, a handful of them. So there's only a couple of like the smaller ones that weren't explicitly, I guess, voted on by the community, by an implementer as well, because they're, I think all of those were in IOE's core engineering proposal as a line item. So,
yep. So this is to a large extent this is going to be confirmation, but it's going to inform the community as well. And there may be steps that There may be additional SIPs that aren't IO proposed that need to be added to the list.
Shall we use this document to have technical input, like from all the node implementers, various teams working on these, or who had been also technically involved in the SIP specification? Or should we have a separate document?
So this document is just going, the intention is this is going to be an on-chain info action, Sebastian. So if we're looking for input from the technical teams, that needs to be a separate document.
Okay, then I would be looking forward to something. It doesn't matter what, either a Google Doc or a HackMD document, something I can share wide and large everywhere, and then everyone can just bring in their opinion. Because people have opinions. Talked to a few at the Builderfest, and people have opinions about what they believe is a realistic timeline even, or what is meaningful scope. As Marcus says, there's maybe multiple packages people could think of, which would make sense from a technical standpoint, but maybe also from their own view on their own project, right? So some of these SIPs impact only consensus nodes, some do impact wallets, some do impact transaction builders. So everyone has their own perspective on this.
Absolutely, and there are multiple node developers that need to be considered as well, Sebastian, who may have different priorities and different intentions. So that needs to be considered as part of the process.
Shall we then maybe communicate a document with the widest funnel, like the Google Doc, to publish on Twitter by the TSC account? Or in that case, maybe a repo where people can put up PRs? I don't know. It's really just to the idea collection phase. Many of the ideas will not be ready yet, or unrealistic, or don't match with the other ones. As Marco said, should still make sense coherently to start off a discussion. And only then at a much later point, after consolidation and more discussions, go on chain. As Marco said, we can't just throw this on chain without first sounding it.
Comfortable with that, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so.
Great. So we'll put together the we'll circulate a version of the Google Doc on chain via the TSC account. Sorry, not on chain. On Twitter. Twitter is not the chain yet. So we'll promote a version via Twitter. We will solicit community feedback on that. We'll try to keep the funnel as broad as possible, as inclusive as possible, and then we will open the on-chain polling, Ryan. So I'd set a time frame for providing input and then close it off, and then you can go with the on-chain polling. But it needs to be done early enough to inform any decisions the GREPs are making this time, I believe.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you. So a lot of work to do this. And good luck with your incentives proposals as well. Yes, Cardano forum as well. So as broad as possible. Brilliant. Final item we've got on the agenda, Parameter Committee update. Anything you want to say, Alex? I think we've covered the big issues already in the call.
Yeah, we did cover the Protos Cosmos update on preview, which I would like to send you the link to the preview governance action, but I also can't send any messages. It just says can't be delivered. But you will find it if you go to preview.cardano-scan.io. Other than that, the CC min size is ready since a month, and they're waiting for the Bluetooth cost model Gov action to go live on mainnet. They know that there is a bit of dependency and are aware that the Bluetooth cost model update is delayed because of the hard fork delay, but it still frustrates them a bit. Because by now they could have easily pushed it on chain and probably got it through as well. If we foresee that it would take another month, then it would be fair to give them the green light so that we reference the CC min size proposal and not vice versa.
I'd hesitate to have the Plutus update reference the CC min size given the unless it passes. Alex,
I believe it's not very controversial, but you can.
It was controversial last time.
Reducing CC min size.
Yes. Yes, that was controversial.
It was okay. My impression was different. But fine. Then we wait on Bluetooth cost model on mainnet. Should now be anyway. Not be too long. Other than that, the parameter committee has started two documents, thanks to Kevin, that collect the parameter committee experts' feedback on increasing K to 1,000 and reducing mempool cost to 75. If anybody here would like to participate in the discussions in that document, I'd be very happy to. We're still in the wide funnel area for now, so every idea and sentence and opinion is welcome. I'll share it in Slack because I can't share. And everybody who listens, yes, please contribute as well. Come to me on X to find the document.
If you share it with me, I'll paste it into the chat here, Alex, so that anyone who's watching the recording or following the recording can access the link. Okay, so it's in that's in the Slack, is it?
Yep.
Okay, great. I will just copy and paste the links into the chat here.
Thank you.
I believe these are publicly accessible documents. Great. Okay, so the two links are pasted into the chat. Please do feel free to comment on those. The more input we have, the better. Have these been shared on the Cardano forum as well, Alex?
No, but now that I have said already, everybody that wants to contribute, please contribute. This should, after all, still be a parameter committee document, not a public one. But anybody who wants to take a look, please do. It's not that it's not welcome, but it's aimed at parameter committee and technical steering committee for now.
The PCPs for both are on Cardano forum. The mempool cost one I submitted a couple of weeks ago, and then the K one is I think probably a year or two old now, but they're both still on there.
Thank you. Exactly.
So you're soliciting expert opinion at this point in time, Alex, is that correct?
Yes, not forbidding other comments, but seeking expert comments.
Perfect.
Everybody can write whatever they want, and it's welcome. Thank you for your contributions.
Great. Thanks a lot. I'm assuming there are no other items that we need to cover off. No. So thank you very much for a constructive meeting as usual. We'll look forward to the election process and the budget process. Going to be a lot going on, Bosco, and the hard fork. So elections, budget, and hard fork all at the same time. Who could want for more?
What can possibly go wrong? I said it.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Catch you all again very soon.
Thank you. Ciao.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.